Hey guys, Tuscany is the soap from Stirling, and why not use a brush knot from Stirling as well. This is Stirling's finest, and it is their bulb knot. It came in a 26 millimeter handle. I didn't really care for that handle. It was just a little bit too hard to hold on to. It wasn't very contoured. And so I broke it off and replanted that inside this cool CravingShaving handle. The razor for today is the Blackland Sabre, just like I used in yesterday's shave. This has the level 2 base plate. I still find it quite smooth, or at least I have so far. And it's already got the PTFE blade from Jim added in there. Throw a little water on my face. Wet those whiskers. Get them to start softening up a little bit. 24 hours. No, not. Less than that. Shaved at about 6 a.m. and now it is midnight 30. So not 24 hours. But I have enough stubble to do the job. I want to get back in my rhythm. The Tuscany is interesting. I got a sample from Stirling in one of my orders of the Tuscany balm mixed in with my order. Tried it. It's got some kind of floral, like either violet or orchid. I can't remember which. And it is has some spices as well as I think some bergamot. And what's interesting is that with that balm, it smelled like wild cherry. And it's obviously the wildness, maybe get it from those spices, and maybe the bergamot and that floral combine just to almost give a cherry-like scent. Because I really, even after I knew what it was, I could still swear it smelled like wild cherries. And it was just, since I'm often a night shaver, it was just a really nice balm, a scent to have on me as I fell asleep. I don't need something intense and cologne-y, very often in that situation. It's just an easygoing scent, comfortable, and I don't know, somehow I liked it, right? So I went ahead and bought the balm in the full-sized container, and if you've watched my channel very much, you've definitely seen me whip that out on occasion. For the very same purpose. And then I got an update that Stirling was going to discontinue Tuscany. Nobody buys it. And okay, I understand. It's not a manly, super manly scent. I don't think it's too feminine either, thanks to those spices. And I said I better buy some because it's, tell you what, Stirling is one of the best values out there, because a full tub like this of 5.8 ounces, I did a research recently, I lather with a bowl and I get about 4 or 5 nice passes of lather every shave. And because I use a bowl, I save a little bit. Less waste goes down the drain. Face shavers have that first pass that just goes down the drain that's very concentrated, and so their passes get weaker. And so I discovered that their stuff is richer. That takes more soap to do a face lather than a bowl lather. And so I figured out that I was actually able to make a tub like this last over a year. And that's crazy. And so I know I've got a nice long supply of Tuscany right here. And so there's the thing. It's the same scent as the balm. And so here, this is, I think, usually about $13 on Stirling's website. Let me show you the title again and all that before I put it away. But this is $10 because it was on sale. Stirling often puts things on their clearance section, their sale page, and it's an even better buy. So how about this? This is a year and a month's worth of soap for $10. That's just crazy. All right. Now, granted, they're not going to put Executive Man on there for $10 because it's one of their most popular scents. So you'll definitely have to choose from some of the ones that are going away. But sometimes you might find a good one on there. Right now, Detonate is on there, as well as what else was really good? Oh man, Detonate is like I think from Victor and Rolf Spice Bomb. It's very similar to that scent, and I really enjoyed it as a soap. The first time they brought it out, I think it was not this past, but the one before it, Black Friday. It came out as Kaboom, and then they realized that Noble Otter had also done a Kaboom scent, and so it was really cool to see those two companies work together and allow each other to have those duplicate. Kaboom, Noble Otter said, Stirling, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just go ahead and put it out, and it was just awesome. But then they changed the name to Detonate, Deton dash, and then the number 8. And there was another one. Stirling for Him is a nice cologne, a very light cologne type scent that was on their sale page recently. And there was one other one that really interested me. Maybe I'll remember it by the end of the shave. And those are decent, enjoyable. And it's just maybe they weren't the niche market that maybe somebody was wanting. So let us load. This has never been loaded before, obviously. So let's load for 30 seconds. Stirling, I don't think I usually have to go that far, but since it's the first time, we'll do a little bit more. All right. I've had this brush soaking now for 10 minutes. I find that this guy likes to be soaked because it is a finest brush, and those tips need to absorb a little bit of water. Normally a Badger does not absorb water, but sometimes the finest ones that have been treated, we rolled the 0 right there, so let's go ahead and start. Sometimes the finest brushes, often they've been treated with bleach or whatever, and so that does affect the tips. And in fact, the gel tips are crunchy at first, but then when you get them wet, they turn into sponges, little tiny sponges. So, some people like to say Badgers don't absorb water, but the finest Badgers definitely do, at least on the tips. And that's 30 seconds. And what a great lather. I've been working with Wilkinson Sword lately, and I discovered that I had to load for about a minute and a half to get enough lather and all that, and so I'm glad to be back into this world. And let's see. Yep, we can go ahead and start working our lather up. This brush started out with a little bit too much backbone for me, and it's lofted as high as it'll go. But I was hoping that with some vigorous uses, and I think I put about 21 uses on it to try to get to this point, I was hoping to relax it, let it open up just enough to have it step into the comfort zone for me, and it pretty much did. So hopefully that's what I'm getting back into now. It's been a while since I've used this guy. Now here's something else interesting. Sometimes I like a scent for an aftershave, but I don't enjoy it for a soap, and vice versa. There's some strong cologne type scents that I don't want to have, like Sterling on Fire. Texas on Fire from Stirling. It's an intense burned wood type scent, and I love it during the shave, but I don't really want to smell it on myself all day long. And actually, that may be one that I was cool with, actually. But there was something else that was similar. I enjoyed so much the intensity during the shave. But then in aftershave form, I didn't want to smell like that for hours, So 2 teaspoons now in the soap. Something I learned last shave with the Blackland and the Sabre, and why I'm using it again today. I got the handle angle wrong for a while on yesterday's shave. I was using a more traditional angle that a DE might like, double edge. This one, I think the handle needs to be more out, more towards perpendicular so that the blade is flatter against the skin. And I got much smoother results, and so I'm hoping I brought this razor back because I really enjoy it, and so I wanted to use it again and remind myself how nice it was. I don't know how many uses I'm going to get on a single edge blade. Obviously, if you've watched my channel, you know that I have gotten a lot of uses out of the double edge blades. My feather has about 43 or something uses. My Gillette Silver Blue has over 30 uses. My Pole Silver the same. And my Nasset has 220 uses. But I have no clue. Haven't never taken a single edge very far. And so we'll see. I think this is 6 or 7 uses now for this the blade that's in the Sabre now. Business meeting, little conference today, all hands type meeting. One of the speakers, different departmental guys get up there. One of the guys, and this is a gorgeous lather. Look at that. One of the guys got up and talked. He said so many times. I try to give you silence instead of saying as a filler. Sometimes I still mess up, but I'm trying. It's not any fun to listen to, especially when it's excessive. But it's a habit that people get into. Sometimes hard to break. All right. Well, water on my face now before I put on the lather. All right. These dense knots, in my experience, don't like a really thin lather. If you add too much water, even if the lather's very functional and slick, maybe it's still just a hair too wet, these dense knots will really show off their backbone. This guy is kind of on the scrubby side right now. We'll see how he feels when we have less hairs, less length on my stubble. Could be his density is just kind of working my stubble a little more than softer brushes do. Oh man, that lather looks terrific. Nice and slick. So let's work it in. Get it to kind of connect with my skin. I usually use the word bond. So that it can protect. Remember about the angle. Cold water I'm using, and at this location it is hard. Yeah, that's good. That's a nice comfy shave. Bring that head pretty close to the face. Handle out a lot more than usual with a double edge. I definitely feel the blade edge. But I did end up with a nice cut yesterday. A nice closeness, even in my trouble area. Next to my Adam's apple. Sometimes you finish with a smooth feel to the shave, and I did not yesterday. But when I looked, I had a nice close shave right in that troubling area. And so I don't care if it's smooth at the end. If I get nice results there and it's still fairly comfortable. That went smoothly. Soap protected me well. I believe this is pretty much a right on target sterling lather for my preferences. So on this second pass, let's pay attention to the scent here. It must not be super strong because it did not really jump out at me this first pass. Yeah, there it is. It's there. It's enjoyable. Medium strength. Out of 10, 5. Don't know if I'd like it any stronger. Maybe a touch stronger might be nice, but it's nice and I'm able to enjoy it. Again, going to watch my head angle. Don't be afraid to try diagonal strokes like I just did there. This is more of a perpendicular stroke with the grain of the hair growth. Hair grows pretty much straight down right here. And so if you need to get a little closer sometimes, this may even, a technique like this may make it so you don't have to do 3 passes. You might, with some different techniques like this, have to do just 2. Here's 90 degrees, or the blade is 90 degrees to the direction of travel. You can tilt it a little bit. Not quite 45, but you can experiment with different angles. Now, I kind of need to be going cross grain, but I usually get a good shave right here, no matter what. And it's called in some places, the Gillette slide. Now on my neck down here, this is being very comfortable. So I must have taken off some good stubble on that first pass, even though it felt a little, choppy, comfortable, but just, who knows, maybe this blade is dulling a little quicker. Maybe that's just the nature of these single edges. Yeah, I've gotten a good shave already. If I was in a pinch, I could just hit the road because this is reasonable. And yes, the scent just still kind of smells like wild cherries to me. This doesn't smell exactly the same as the balm, and that's kind of normal. Different mediums have different smells in many cases. Third pass now. A nice, slick rinsing just now after the second pass. Yeah, this is a perfect lather for me. It's still wet. It's not super thick. See, it's kind of it's moving loosely, almost dripping, but it's not flying off or anything like that. Very nice lather. Still got a creamy feel to it. Cross grain again on my cheeks. I did get a sampler of the single edge blades from tryablade.com. Very happy with their service. I tried the carbon once. That's the first one I tried. I think I even tried it in a gem micromatic that was very aggressive, and it was an aggressive blade for me. Very, very aggressive. Did not enjoy it. Flip it around. This may look like a slick-handled razor because it is stainless steel, but it's brushed stainless. It's not polished. That brushing actually gives these little microscopic grooves that do a really good job of holding on to your fingers. So I pretty much never have a grip problem with this type. The Wolfman Gorilla is the same way. Yeah, I got a nice close cut right here next to my Adam's apple. So this blade does a good job of taking care of that. Not the smoothest shave in the world, which is very different from how I remember it several months ago when I used it. And so maybe this kind of blade keeps that keen edge a shorter time. Well, do I match with the soap and do a balm for Tuscany? Nah, let's bring out the orange in the soap with a little bit of orange in Lucky Tiger. Face tonic, aloe, the Thayer's. We call it Thayer's witch hazel, but even if you look on the label, they're not trying to hide it. It's mostly an aloe type tonic. It's not very much witch hazel in there. Some guys, and I was watching some guys online figuring out, having a conversation about that, and a couple of them knew chemicals, and they knew that one of the ingredients that's right before witch hazel, maybe glycerin, something like that, right before witch hazel in the list of ingredients in Thayer's, had to be 10% or probably a little bit less of the solution. Otherwise, you could tell the chemical nature, it would thicken it up too much. And so they knew that it had to be that. And so then if the witch hazel then was after that in the ingredients list, you know it had to be less. And so that's why Thayer's can get away with unscented, because it's mostly, I think, the aloe mix, and it's got some witch hazel in there. So it's not true witch hazel. I got some true witch hazel from Walmart. Man, that stuff stinks. I don't think that's conducive to a nicely scented shave environment. But the Thayer's seems to work well for me, and in a similar way, the Lucky Tiger Face Tonic does as well. And down here are some of those nice ingredients: aloe vera, calendula, chamomile, those types of things. And it's a great scent, like I mentioned before, to just go to sleep to. I don't need to carry it throughout the day, that sort of thing. Here's that, now I'll show you when I clean it up a little bit. How much lather do we have left? I did 3 passes, and that's all. And I've got another 2 passes in here easy. And it's a wonderful, shiny, creamy, and wet lather. So that worked out for me today. This brush wasn't quite as soft as I wanted it to be. I wonder if a longer soak would have helped things. Sometimes with a finest badger brush, it happened to me first with the Fanchurian knot from That Darn Rob. I noticed on the 3rd pass that the knot felt significantly smoother, softer tips. And I just discovered it needed a longer soak, even though many people say, just get badgers wet for, a little bit and then start using them. Well, technically that's true, but to get the most softness out of certain knots, especially ones with treated tips that absorb water, sometimes a longer soak is advisable in my experience. So I'm not quite done rinsing. Just kind of did an outside rinse, and you can see this still has plenty of soap in the middle. It's one of the issues with dense knots, that you have to make sure you still clean that middle. Nice long rinse. Sometimes employing warm water to really help get in there and clean it out. This is a CravingShaving handle, and I just wanted to show it to you. Really pretty. I like it a lot. Ergonomic, very ergonomic. And I used almost 4 teaspoons of water. 3 3/4 teaspoons of water for 30 seconds of loading. So if you're interested in getting into entry-level badgers, maybe you've been with synthetics for a while, which are great options, but maybe you'd like to try some badgers. They can get super expensive. I have it on good authority that the Simpsons badgers aren't really worth it until you get above $100. The ones that are less than that, they're not very soft. It takes them a while to work in and stuff, and there are just better options out there. And then once you get above $100, again, you're probably going to be able to pay half as much and get kind of similar performance. And that's just an issue with Simpsons, and they've been around for a while. Entry level, Stirling has some great options. They have a fan shape, and I've used that one on this channel before. This is the bulb shape. It's more like a hybrid, really. It's not a true bulb, but I like the shape. I think this is a good shape. And this is a 26 millimeter knot, and as you can see, it's quite large. If you like the more backbone side of the spectrum and you'd like to step into badgers, then I highly recommend the Stirling Finest Badger. It's got very soft tips. If you use it as it comes, mounted in kind of an average way, then it's going to have a good amount of backbone for you. I cracked mine open, put it in to this socket with some plastic washers to basically raise it up as much as I could, because I wanted as little backbone as I could get out of this knot. And I believe I'm in a happy place with it. If you like the other end, then maybe a silver tip that doesn't have very much backbone, but still quite soft tips. We're talking cloud soft, that sort of thing. I think the Macedo silver tip, Whip Dog silver tip, Golden Nib silver tip, I like the premium grade silver tip from them, are all ones that are on the cloud soft end of the spectrum. The very fine, very luxurious hairs there. Some people think maybe they're too floppy. You can be the judge for yourself. But all those that I mentioned are reasonably priced. You can get into expensive silver tips if you want, but I think those are great ones to start with if you think you might like to try that. Macedo also makes a Finest Badger that has a little bit more backbone, similar to this. It's got even softer tips, at least right now it does. Similar use count, I believe, than the Stirling. But it's a joy to use as well. Probably a little bit less backbone, just a hair less, but I think it still suits somebody who might be more interested in that backbone side of the spectrum. So cloud soft backbone, those are some entry-level options if you want to step into some badger knots. Another thing that people like about badger is because of the density, because of the hair, it keeps heat better than a bore knot and a synthetic knot. Some people like the hot lather shaves, and I can understand why. They sure feel good sometimes. I generally do a tepid or cold water shave. I find that also feels good. But in terms of I don't mention this on my channel a lot because it's irrelevant for me since I don't do hot lather shaves. But badgers retain that heat better than the other options do. All right. Showed you the water. 2 passes of lather is what I had. So I'm happy with the Tuscany. I enjoyed having it during the shave. It is a little bit of a departure. I don't have a large library of, fruity scents or sweeter scents. Usually I'm leather and smoke and sandalwood and woodsy, Texas on fire, burning wood, or the cologne types. Oh man, it was on the tip. Okay. D-503 was the Stirling scent that's on sale right now. That was on Black Friday last year and this year as well. seasonal release. They come in 3-ounce pucks instead of the big 5.8 ounce. And that is a scent inspired by Mont Blanc. Legend, I believe. I really enjoy that one. I bought an aftershave of that. I hadn't done that before, but I do have that soap from the previous buy, so I didn't need to buy it again. But the Detonate, which is Victor and Rolf Spice Bomb, the D503, which is the Mont Blanc Legend, are tremendous scents, and they're available for, I think, $7 since they come in the 3-ounce containers. It's a great way to get some good quality scents, good quality soaps from Stirling for cheap. I'm going to clean up. Be back with you. Look at the density now. I stropped it on a towel. Just a very dense knot. And this is a $30 type knot. Less actually, because at the time I bought it from Stirling, it was a factory seconds. So it was more like $20. It was a great deal. Stirling does have some more Finest Badgers on their site now that are around the $50 price point. Don't confuse them with this one. They're still Finest Badgers. I wish they would label them something different, but right now the only labeling difference, the only way to tell them apart is the price. There's a $30 one, then there's the $54 or $55 one that is a different kind of knot, a denser knot, I believe. But I don't need any more density than this myself. Some people might, and I don't begrudge them at all, but I definitely don't need more density than that. All right, just enjoying the scent. I don't have any irritation from the shave. That first pass, I could feel a little bit more of the blade. It didn't really feel like the blade was just slicing easily through the hairs, but I never got any tugging. Okay, in that first pass, very, very light tugging, but it was very light. No pain or irritation or really discomfort or any, but it was tugging slightly. It wasn't a hot knife through butter kind of situation. But I ended with a very good, close shave. Almost baby butt smooth on the cheeks. Okay, there's one patch right here I didn't get very well, but it's fine. I'll just leave it for tomorrow. And so far, this particular razor and blade combo has been great at getting that little hollow next to my Adam's apple. In case you're a regular viewer, yesterday I didn't use any aftershave, post-shave product with that blue tub of Wilkinson's Sword. Doesn't seem like it has too many ingredients for skincare after the shave. I don't care. I've got oily skin anyway, but I think that's what balms are for. And I like to vary the scent of my soap versus the balm. Balm is for everybody else. Soap is just for during the shave, for me in my little shave zone. And so I like to have a different kind of scent during my shave. But anyway, if you were curious about yesterday, I did not regret having no post-shave at all. It's still a soap that could be drying for some, especially if you have dry skin, or if you mix it too rich, don't get it really hydrated. I could see how it might be more drying, but it wasn't. I was able to go to sleep, no problem, no itchiness or anything like that. Woke up, was just fine. So your average skin person might be able to also walk away from that kind of shave without a dryness problem or a need for a moisturizer if you feel like it. It's always good to have that option. I don't really know how to explain my affinity toward Tuscany. I just like it. It makes me feel good, you know. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope there's been something in this video that has helped you out. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Have a good night.